Welcome to WBN 001. Welcome back to my dinner table. This will be the final video before the Republican State Convention. Excluding candidates, most people I have talked with and listened to over the past several weeks were not excited or bursting with enthusiasm. Some were concerned, some were angry, some were skeptical. But the most accurate word to describe their view on the country and what lies in front of us and the chance of any real change occurring is disheartened. This is understandable. Currently, Congress has a reported approval rating of 13%. 13. To get to 13, it's not so much you did something wrong, but rather you did very, very little right. Can you imagine what would happen to your employment if you had a 13% approval rating on your job performance? The idea of changing Congress, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, is highly unlikely given the current method of approach. Now, I want to point out this 13% is not exclusive to Democrats or Republicans. It's a badge of shame given to all members of Congress as a group. This disheartened feeling was not limited to Congress. It was at every level of government, from the city all the way up to the president. There are people who stated that they don't do business such as lunch in certain cities because the chance of having a cop look for any reason to give a ticket was so high that the lunch may end up costing him $100. Now, at first thought, I thought this is a bit nuts. But then after I thought about it, I thought, wait a minute, I don't go downtown during certain times or certain events because of parking. I don't want to have a ticket or a possible tow. So without much thought, I myself was doing the same thing. In the end, the city may be able to say that they are turning a profit or offsetting costs with performance objectives, not quotas, but performance objectives. But at the end of the day, if your business is in that city, not only did you have your customer run out of town, so to speak, but in a weird way you paid for it to happen. If you wanted to see a strong reaction over the past several weeks, you would just wait until someone mentioned immigration or education. Both of those issues are both federal and state issues. When you look at the system, it's hard to see how it can ever truly change. To get reelected, you need party support and money. To be placed on a committee that you want to be on or that you see as a committee that could result in change, you need to have seniority, party nod, and none of this happens if you go against the status quo. When I was looking at this, I actually found myself chuckling when I thought, where would I find the congressman or congresswoman or senator with the highest level of honesty, ethics, and integrity? And in my mind, I thought, well, I would look to see who was forced to sit in the corner of the room. And that probably is not far from the truth. But the question of can it change, I truly believe is yes. And I believe that the problem can be solved in two sections and in a relatively short amount of time, maybe 3 to 4 years. The first thing that and this is just my thoughts on this disheartened feeling, I first believe that we have to have accountability and personal honesty at the forefront. Now, at this point, some of the people watching may say, accountability, check. Personal honesty, check. I'm good to go. But this is kind of a not so fast issue because honesty truly begins with me and it begins with you. How many people do you know that are not or cannot be honest with themselves? If we can't be honest with ourselves, we can't go forward. If we can be honest with ourselves, we'll be able to evaluate both the symptom and the problem with great confidence, without false emotion or ego, but rather we'll be able to evaluate with intelligence and reason. Now we're able to have accountability brought to the symptom or to the problem without fear or doubt. This is key to solving the problem. The second part, I believe, is where the focus should be. For now, I would say let's forget about focusing on the federal government. And the reason why is understand this is what they want you to do. They want you to focus on the federal government. But I believe instead, let's address the areas close to us that we truly have control over. I believe at the core is the office of the governor. The governor is able to address all things within the state, and they can address all things outside of the state. Currently, there are 18 states with recall laws. Utah is not one of them. I believe that we must have a recall law if we are to solve the problem. So what does it mean if Utah has a recall law? It means that as a state, we are able to call back members of the U.S. Congress to be accountable to the state. More importantly, to be accountable to the people. As it is now, once elected, there is nothing the people can do other than be vocal and attempt to shame the state's members to the U.S. Congress. With the recall law, the governor would now be able to give guidance and direction to the U.S. Congress members and help them understand that they need to dig in, that a timeout needs to be called in Washington. We can't afford to have more of what's been going on in Washington to occur. And this is the first step in solving the problem, is calling this timeout in Washington. Now, a 13% approval rate means that these individuals in Washington are not willingly going to call the timeout on their own. The next step, I believe, is under the direction of the governor, have all areas of the state's government reviewed to determine what areas are a resulting symptom of the problem we face. There are taxes on the books, such as to pay for damage that a flood that occurred decades ago created, and they're still being collected today. The damage has long since been repaired, and yet the tax is still being collected. This is a symptom. Or the state is taking money for a program that we know is damaging to the people and the state as a whole. But the money was seen as maybe a free money, and it was taken regardless of the strings attached. This is a symptom of the problem. There are symptoms of problems throughout the state and local government. If ever we want to fix the big problem, Washington, we must first fix the smaller problems, Utah. When I talk to people about this approach, it becomes much easier to see these symptoms when you ask a simple question of yourself. Is this program, law, or directive truly and honestly resulting in a stronger family or a weaker family? It's amazing when you ask that question how clear it becomes if something is a symptom. According to the Cato Institute, a child of a broken family is 4 times more likely to live in poverty. And when this occurs, living in poverty, they are many more times likely to face issues such as substance abuse, gang involvement, being a repeat criminal offender, child out of wedlock, and the list goes on and on. 2/3 of poor children who will likely have a life full of such horrible challenges live in and come from a single parent home. So continuing on with the solution, while the state is addressing all of these symptoms to the problem, the governor must build a coalition among other states' governors to follow Utah's example. If only several states join Utah, and off the top of my head, I can think of several, more than several, it will result in our being able to truly change Washington. To pass a bill in the Senate, you must have 51 votes. There are 100 senators, 51 is what it takes to pass a bill. Given the nature of the Senate, where you have the Republicans and the Democrats, if only a few states joined and you were able to have 24 members of the Senate on board with what the states are doing, you would really be able to begin changing Washington. The bottom line is, a bill takes the House and it takes the Senate. If it does not pass the Senate, there's no bill, period. And a couple states resulting in, let's say, 24 members it's a truly small and manageable number, considering that there are already members in the Senate wanting and willing to see the change occur. So after this past several weeks of talking with people and hearing just how disheartened they were, I believe the answer to the question of can we change the direction we're going is yes. But I firmly believe that it will take a governor willing to make this their top priority, without compromise and without fear. If such a governor steps forward, we can, in a relatively short time frame, correct the wrongs that have been done. I'd like to leave with this final thought. The choices and decisions we can make to change the problem are fewer and fewer as time goes on. The answer may soon be no, we cannot change course, and no, we cannot solve the problem. Like Rome, the only option will be to continue until under our own weight we collapse. I for one hope to see the course change before the point of no return is reached. Thanks for watching the videos, and I hope all of this has been helpful to you. Have a good day.